Hi everyone, Hakan here from Web News team. Thank you very much for joining us again. Do you want to customize some of the details in the default user invoice or give it a more stylish makeover? Then make sure not to miss this video. The Ticket Invoice Addon adds a bunch of new features and options in terms of controlling the user invoice's design and information, plus the ability to check in attendees via a QR code. Once you've installed the add-on, a new menu called MEC Invoices is added to the side. All the invoices that get created will be listed here. So, for example, there are 4 invoices here for 4 users that have booked this event. When I click on View Invoice, the invoice sent to the users can be seen. Every detail in the invoice can be customized from the settings, decide on the first. Alright, let's head to the MEC calendar settings and click on the Invoice Options tab. All the various fields in the invoice can be customized from here. In the invoice title section, you can customize the subject line that gets emailed to the user and the information present using different placeholders shown in the info box. Next, we have company information, which represents the top field here on our sample invoice. You can enter the information relevant to your company here from email, phone to address, and VAT number. More importantly, you can change the logo on the invoice as well to suit your brand. The next section deals with the numbering system on the invoices and which number it starts from, 0 or any other. There is also the invoice number length, which determines the digits. If it's set to 0, then it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if it's set as 6, it will be 6 digits long. In the next section, you are able to define the invoice pattern so that it includes letters plus the number sequence. And the next section is for a PDF of the invoice, which requires an API. This can be done either through HTML2 PDF or Select PDF. There is a guide for each in its help window as well. You can also select the margins in the PDF file, which is set to 5 by default. The next option concerns the invoice description, which we haven't created for this one. But anyway, the description in the invoice can be displayed or removed. The next section is live attendee settings using Pusher API, which lets you check which users are getting an invoice or making bookings. And regarding check-in section, the invoice for every user comes with a unique QR code used to check in the user when they arrive at the venue. Users are not checked in by default. For example, this invoice, let's click on Manage. As you can see, the attendee status is still not checked in, but if the QR code is scanned, then the status will show the time, and the button will indicate it with a color change as well. Even though you can manually check in users, from the WordPress backend, the add-on's whole point is to check in users using the dedicated QR code on each invoice. This can be done using the dedicated phone app we've developed for scanning the QR codes. You can find more information about that on our documentation site. Link is in the description. You can check that out. While we're here, let me point out that on the Invoice Manage page, you have access to all the info about the user's booking, and you can even make adjustments to the booking using the Edit button. There's a very handy feature in this add-on that allows you to resend the invoice email based on our needs. Let's get back to our overview of the add-on settings. The first option lets you disable email notifications being sent to the user. The second option is to, hedge against accident QR code scans by staff members so that the check-in only works on opening day. Worth mentioning that this is enabled by default on multiple date events. And the next field lets you specify how long before event start the check-in process can begin. For example, 120 minutes before event start. Enabling this option will send the invoice for each attendee if you've booked for multiple people. If left unchecked, the invoice is only sent to the main attendee. Next option is self-explanatory. The invoice number will be shown when your staff check in a user. Regarding the custom fields invoice option, the invoice already includes predefined segments like organizer or ticket fee. But with this, we can add previously made custom fields on MEC by selecting them here. The next option fully disables booking notifications that get sent out to attendees. The check-in roles section, is important in easily letting you choose who can change the check-in status of an attendee by scanning their QR code. Now, onto the design of the invoice. We're using the classic invoice right now, but if we switch to standard, then the invoice appearance changes. Let's see what Type 3 looks like. There have been slight alterations, but the main standout is the small ticket that the user can hand in at the venue. Compare that with how the classic ticket looks, and it's just a small ticket like for most events that's very practical, and the printer option is also right above it, making it very convenient. And the next options are straightforward, enabling each adds that bit of information to the invoice depending on your need, whether it's tax ticket, the time the ticket was booked, the location addresses. You can even hide the QR code on the ticket by checking this option. The fields below let you define the date and time format based on your region's standard conventions. Last but not least, you have the invoice description, which can be a brief of the event. Although, I should note that only some invoice types have this option. For example, the classic view doesn't have this section, so let's switch to type 1. Not in this one either. Oh, I remember. It's because if you haven't selected the display invoice description option, now it should work. The description section can be seen below. The custom CSS section allows you to modify the invoice directly if you have some tweaks you'd like to do to the design, like the color and size, etc. Lastly, if you've been using MEC for a while and only recently purchased this add-on, you have got many invoices that are just in the booking section. So, if you click on Import, an invoice is generated for all your older tickets as well. That's all for the configuration settings for the ticket and invoice add-on. You'll mainly be dealing with the MEC Invoices side menu though, where you can view the invoice and manage the information and notification for the attendees. You can also manually add new invoices if you have users who have registered locally, so that their attendance is also tracked from your event website. The next option is Export Invoice XML, which will generate an XML of all your invoices. The API key is for when you download the app developed for this add-on, which ties it to your website. This app lets you easily manage your manage user check-ins. And the Language tab lets you customize the textual elements viewed inside the app per your local language needs. One small detail to add before we wrap up. Under the notification setting in MEC, a new tab called Invoice is added. If enabled, then the default email will no longer be sent, and instead, this notification will be sent out, which you have free reign to customize per your needs and include any information you want using the numerous placeholders available. I'd like to conclude by highlighting how essential this add-on is if you're holding in-person events and don't want your staff to manually check in users from the WordPress backend. Aside from that, degree of customization effort in creating your invoice will surely give your event that professional look and feel, as if the ticket was purchased from any other big-name ticket sale and distribution website. Hope you found this video useful, and I look forward to reading your thoughts and questions about the add-on below the video. Thank you very much, and see you next week.